All right, so the cool thing about Astronomy on Tap is instead of water, you get beer when you're thirsty if you speak. That's cool. This is going to be a little less technical than last one, but I'll make up for it with more snark. So, that's okay. All right, so let's get started. Based on context, what do you think which hoax I'm talking about? Is the audience participation? Moon landing hoax. And just to start off, by the way, so the photo credit right there is me on my iPhone. I actually took those photos, and I just want to show it, like, I'm an amateur astronomer, but you can still do cool stuff with your little Dobsonian telescope in the backyard. So that's the same night, same photo, different lens. Anyway, so there's a lot of astronomy. Anyway, I'm talking about the moon landing and the hoax therein. So what this talk is about, the conspiracy theories around the moon landing, obviously. What it's about is some school projects, two of them in fact, one that I did as an undergrad that kind of inspired it, and then one that I did as an educator with students over a course of years. What this talk is not about, being exhaustive. We're not going to go into every crater, see what I did there? Every nook and cranny, because there's a lot of conspiracy theories, a lot of content about the moon, and we're just not going to hit everything. So it's not about being exhaustive, but I'm happy to talk to you afterwards if you'd like to chat about the moon landing. It's also not about mocking conspiracy theorists. You can probably guess which side of the issue I'm on since I'm up on this stage. So I'm not here to just mock people. Like I said, I'm full of snark, but it's in good, friendly fun, and we'll go from there. And again, I'm happy to talk about it more if you like. Now, first one, what inspired this? Project one in undergrad. I was doing a project on the moon, got super distracted in like 2003, 2004. The internet was rather nascent in that time. So I got super distracted and came across a website. And don't judge me, but this is what the website looked like. I'll scroll through some images. But I started reading this website. And when I'm looking at it, it was the first time I'd ever been exposed to anything about the moon landing. I had heard before, oh, the moon landing conspiracy, oh, it was fake, whatever, it was something about the flag waving, and I just dismissed it. Like every American, I just assumed we'd gone to the moon, knew Americans are the best, so clearly we've gone to the moon. Like I said, please don't judge me, but I call this website, this is early 2000s. But I began reading through this website, and I started thinking to myself, I said self, because that's what I call myself. I said self, possibly the moon landing was faked. And then I went on from there, and so that kind of inspired this project, which is the second project, which I did as a secondary educator, where I convinced my students that the moon landing is fake. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to walk you through a bit of that project and some of the evidence that we present for the moon landing. Okay, so some of that evidence. This is the slide that I start off with my students. 1969, the year of the hoax. The moon landing was faked, and I love exclamation points. I can't get over it. I just love them. Sorry in advance. Okay, so there's no shortage of websites talking about why they think the moon landing is fake. Here is just 6 of them. Hi, Rachel. That's my son, yelling daddy. Oh, yeah, everybody say oh. So there's plenty of them, and we're going to go through some of those ideas now about why some people are doing it just to mess with other people. Some people genuinely believe the moon landing is fake. So how could anyone believe that? So let's take a look at the evidence for the hoax. And all the photos, or most of the photos you're about to see are from the Apollo archive, which I could not recommend highly enough. They're high definition images from Apollo, from 1969 through 1972, all the way up to, from Apollo 11, or well, even earlier than Apollo 11, all the way up to Apollo 17. So pretty cool photos, they're awesome. Just Google Apollo archive and you'll see it. Hey buddy. Hi. Okay. So, this, incidentally, is probably the first time Michelle's been on the stage. Yeah, he's a ham, what can I say? Alright, so this, incidentally, is my favorite photo of the entire Apollo program. It's a first moon selfie. It's a shadow selfie, come here, buddy. So it's a shadow selfie of Neil Armstrong just taking a photo of the lunar surface. Lunar surface, probably more at the bottom. So here's the question, where are the stars? There's no stars in the picture on the Earth. When we have a dark sky, what do we see? Stars. There's no stars here. There's tons of photos like this. Where are the stars? Where are the stars? I can keep going. Where are the stinking stars? We're in outer space. Where are the stars? Okay? So next piece of evidence, crosshair knockout. You'll notice here, there's these crosshairs all over a lot of these Apollo photos. So there's something called a Roseau plate. It's okay. There's something called a Roseau plate that allows people to take some ranging and geometric ranges of photos. Sorry, a little distracted. The crosshairs allow for ranging in photos on the moon, and we can use them on the Earth as well. You can use them anywhere, but they allow you to have some geometric angles and do some range finding. So they're a front plate that's on the cover of a camera. So imagine you have a camera, you have a glass plate in front of it. That's called a Roseau plate, and they should be in all these photos. Yet, here's the problem. Fake picture! Okay? This is called crosshair knockout. There's these photos that clearly have been photoshopped. They weren't photoshopped, it was 1969. But they're edited photos. There's no other explanation from here. Some people think they might have been wires hung down from the ceiling of the stage. Some people think it was like photo editing where these images were put on there. They had a photo. Maybe even real photos of the moon. I don't know. But they're clearly edited photos. So what's going on here? It's a silly mistake by NASA. All right, this guy right here, this is a photo of a lunar lander. Landed on the moon. This guy was capable of 10,000 pounds of thrust. Does that look like a blast crater from 10,000 pounds of thrust? I don't think so. Okay, so clearly, you know what this looks like to me? Is a crane lowered the lunar lander on the lunar surface by our friend Stanley Kubrick. That's the only possible explanation here, because that's not 10,000 pounds of thrust.
Proceeded, 3, 2, 1. That's your good.
Fake. Don't tell me that doesn't look fake. The first video was Apollo 15. The second was Apollo 17. 1972 was that last one right there. Come on, man. Star Wars was better than that. And that was approximately the same time. A little bit later, but whatever. Sorry, I'm going to nerd out. I'm going too far. So there's no visible flame. Every rocket we've ever seen has a massive flame coming out of its butt. Why doesn't that fail? Okay? Now, this right here is the most convincing piece of evidence for me that the moon landing was faked. Van Allen belts. The NASA, conspiracy theorists, or the conspirators, if you will. NASA has some probes in the Van Allen radiation belt. There's no question these exist. It's radiation that comes largely from the sun, that's trapped by the magnetosphere around the Earth. And because it's in the ecliptic plane, the astronauts had to go straight through all of this radiation. Straight through it. No human being and no technology can survive this. No one wants to make that face. No one. So no one did that. We clearly, and by the way, we're talking about going to Mars. It's also the same reason. No one's going to Mars, and NASA just wants more money. That's the only explanation. Okay, this guy right here. Shadow illumination. Now the only source of light on the moon is the sun. You should not be able to see anyone in the shadow. It's these deep, dark shadows that you shouldn't be able to see anyone. But you know what that makes? That makes a much better photo than like a blurry, shadowy figure. And the only way to get lights like that is from multiple sources of light, aka spotlight, aka Stanley Kubrick stage. This one of the most iconic photos. A guy you may have heard of, named Buzz Aldrin, took a photo of his footprints. This is the most famous footprints ever. It's on the lunar surface. You know how you make footprints? You don't make it in dry dirt. And you know what you can't have on the moon is water, because there's no atmosphere. This is clearly a fake photo for a photo op. They added, well, I don't know what they did. They added water, they did something. You can't get footprints that defined in a vacuum where there's no moisture. Thanks, footprints. What do you need for breeze? Atmosphere. What does the moon not have? Atmosphere. Faked. So obvious. How could anyone be fooled by the moon landing hoax? Okay, so after I've gone through that, and I've gone through much more evidence, I go through this in about an hour with my students. So this is a much tighter time frame, obviously, and I usually don't have a toddler walking across the stage when it happens. But these are some of the comments from my students after I've gone through this. These are real freaking comments. I'm not kidding. I have a former student here, if you don't believe me. Oh, fat booty. Now, this one coming up has nothing to do with the moon landing, but it's my all-time astronomy student quote, my favorite student quote. Sorry. Planetary nebulae, forget that. If you don't let me go to the bathroom, you're going to have a urine nebula on the floor soon. Best student quote ever. Alright, so now we've gone through it very brief. There's much more evidence. Again, I'd be happy to talk about it with you. There's much more evidence than just this. But there are some responses to the hoax. Now I'm going to take you through a little bit of my journey after I got exposed to that first amazingly well-designed website that we saw at the beginning of the session. Okay, these are some of the responses because NASA still says we landed on the moon. How dare they lie to us? How dare they respond like this? Okay, this is again the audience participation. I want everyone to say it with me. The moon is not the Earth.
The moon is not the Earth.
Say it again.
The moon is not the Earth.
The moon is not the Earth? Okay, the moon is not the Earth. That's a very important one. Okay? That's a very common misconception because a lot of times this messes with our common sense. Where do we live, the moon or the Earth? Earth, right? So we have this concept of how things are that are possibly different than how it is on our only natural satellite. Okay? The moon is not the Earth. Now, where are the stars?
It's daytime.
It actually is daytime. This is a lunar day. And again, against our common sense, we think, oh, black sky, nighttime. No, it's daytime. And this is a great picture. This is just simple photographic washout. The camera is focused on this bright lunar surface, so you can't see the stars. The stars are there, they're just invisible. There's plenty of examples of this. Excuse me, the beard. This is focused. It's a long image, long time-lapse photo that's trying to get all these images. Dark sky, there's no stars, you can't see it. You have to actually focus on the stars to get them. If you don't believe me, go take a photo with your smartphone tonight. You're not going to see the stars in the image. It's counterintuitive because it's not the Earth. The crosshair knockout. This is probably the most simplistic one. Look at the quality of those photos. Look at the quality of this photo. See the difference? That's an awful that is about 1/10 of the original image. They're really zoomed in, been repeated multiple times. The same photos appear on every website. They're really low, grainy, horrible images. If you go back and look at high-resolution images in the Apollo archive, you don't see crosshair knockout. But why you do see crosshair knockout, this is a photo from Ian Goddard's website where he's responding to the moon landing. He put a hair across the lens, and you can actually see a little bit of washout, but it's even brighter on the moon. Ian Goddard didn't take this on the moon. He did it on the Earth. So there's actually some washout from the white. It's just overexposure. A camera reads that as overexposure. Okay, so it's washed out, and on the moon the sunlight's stronger. No blast crater. Believe it or not, they had a throttle on the moon landing. Capable is the operative word here. Is capable of 10,000 pounds of thrust? That doesn't mean it was going at 10,000 pounds of thrust. They used 10,000 pounds of thrust to deorbit the lander and only landed with about 3,000 pounds of thrust. And because of that size, that big old honking nozzle right there, it was actually only about 1.5 pounds per square inch, which is not that much. It's not going to burn out a whole section. It really ends up not being that much thrust. No visible flame. So there's a very good reason why it's a non-visible flame. Those things combine to make an invisible flame. Imagine that! So it's dinitrogen tetroxide and aerosine, or hydrazine, this is commonly called. And so they create a visible flame when combusted. They're called hypergolic. I'm not sure if I'm pronunciating that correctly. But when they combine together, they ignite immediately, and they do an invisible flame, especially in a vacuum. In a vacuum, there's less oxygen, so it makes it even more invisible. And you actually do, if you watch the video to the very, very end, I think I may have cut it off, but you can see it go orange near the end of the video from the lunar surface, and that's the rocket going full thrust, because the moon only has 1/6 the gravity approximately of Earth. It doesn't need a full thrust to get off, and then to get actually out in orbit, they go higher on the thrust. Van Allen belts. I'm going to let Einstein respond to this. Drop some Einstein on you. On the bottom, if you can't read it, says I got 99 problems, but radiation safety ain't one. Okay? There's shielding. We know how to shield, and the surface of the lunar module that they were going in stopped most of the radiation from both themselves and the technology. And the Van Allen radiation belts absolutely would kill human beings. If you weren't protected, you stayed there for hours. They were only in the Van Allen radiation belts for about an hour and a half, and there's a ton of websites. Not a ton, there's like 3. There's about 3 websites that have some really good explanations of how much time they spend in the Van Allen radiation belts and how much radiation they have, how many rads they received. It talks about all the health effects. There's a lot of eye problems, a lot of eye cancer in astronauts. But it doesn't kill them. They have plenty of protection, and it was pretty fast. Okay, I'm an educator. You didn't think you were getting out of this evening with that homework. I'm not going to explain the rest. I'm going to give you some hints, and I'm going to reference you to these 2 gags. You may have heard of a show called Mythbusters. It's no longer on the air. Everyone say, "Aww." These guys are great at disproving things. They're not the best at like positive, but it's fine. I love them. Thoroughly enjoy these guys, especially the look that's always on his face. Like, hey, come on, Jamie. All right. Anyway, these guys have a great special about the moon landing. There's this really cool invention on the internet called Google. And you can jump on and say, Mythbusters moon landing. It'll come up. I don't know if it's pirated. I'm not telling you. I'm just saying. It comes up really quickly. You can watch the whole episode. It's amazing. And they cover the illumination of the shadow. Hence, the sun is not the only source of light on the moon. Anyone have a guess what the other source of light on the moon is? No, it's not the Earth. Think about what you see when you see the moon. What do you think the source of light on the moon is?
Reflection.
The moon. Hence, it's a reflective surface. But the Earth, well, the Earth doesn't get enough light, but you can see the Earth. It's pretty cool. I mean, now that I've been in it. Take footprints. They also talk about this. Hint. Say it with me.
Moon is not the Earth.
Moon is not the Earth. I'm going to leave it there. It's so shady. It's so fake. They also cover this. And this is probably the most convincing one that the Mythbusters does, in my opinion, in the video. It's really awesome. They actually go to NASA. I mean, it's part of the conspiracy at that point. But hint, the moon is not the Earth yet again. Let's say it one more time.
The moon is not the Earth.
All right. Now, there's also some definitive evidence, in my opinion. Now, again, this all could be part of the conspiracy, but definitive evidence. There is this thing called the Lunar Laser Ranging Experiment. You say that 5 times fast on stage and you've been drinking. This is a laser. That laser right there is from Apollo 11. They have another one from 15 or 17. Placed up on the moon that we send lasers, and they're retroreflectors, and they send it right back. They did it before there was stuff there, but they're much more accurate with these retroreflectors. Definitively, there's no way they could be there except a man-made object. The other one, we actually have satellite photos. You cannot see any of these objects. You can only see an object about a resolution of 1 kilometer from an Earth-based telescope. It doesn't matter how powerful your telescope is, it can't get through the atmosphere. but we have satellite systems from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. Those are freaking footprints. We were there. It's pretty awesome. And also, guess who'd be the first people to cry foul? If it's the people who were competing against us in the space race. They were watching just as closely. Now, I want to leave you with this quote by Marcel Truzzi that was popularized by Carl Sagan and changed a little bit. But extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. So my main takeaway from this talk is, yeah, it's really a lot of fun, but there's tons of evidence and tons of things you're going to come across. That doesn't mean you just turn your brain off and accept the first thing. Keep a critical mindset, and that's what I was trying to instill in my students is, I experienced this. I went through, it's like, wow, maybe the moon landing was faked. Maybe it was. Then I proceeded to look at the evidence consistently, and there was basic scientific, photographic, critical thinking evidence of why we actually landed on the moon. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Master Lunartic. Any questions?
No questions. I answered them all. Is this where I drop the mic?
Does anybody have a question?
I tried mine was less technical.
Ask her, Bob.
I'm not sure about the exact proposal.
Can you repeat
Oh,
the
sorry. The question was, there's a proposed mission by China to go to the moon because they want to be 40 years late to the party. I was 50. And are they going to go anywhere closer so there's more definitive proof? I would assume so because the moon is tidally locked, so we always see the same side of the moon. It's always facing. That's why the moon always looks the same. You can see the man on the moon or the bunny rabbit. If you find it, it'll change your life. The bunny rabbit in the moon looking for another school. And as far as I know, it'll be somewhere similar, but it probably won't be. I mean, if it's China, they're probably going to land on the top of the flag, knock it down. It's like, ah. So as far, I don't know the exact landing location, but I will look that up and see. But there's tons of stuff from China, from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. There's stuff from Russian space satellites. All these things showing images of man-made objects, footprints, lunar rovers, et cetera, on the moon.
Right here.
What did you have your students do with this information after you went through that?
So what did I have the students do after I did that? I had them, so I started off the project and said, hey, here's your job. You have to become an expert in the moon to prove that you actually can say something about this. So we went through a bunch of lunar content in my physics class, we went through a bunch of gravity content. And then I said, now you have to evaluate the evidence. Did we land on, what does the evidence say? And after the first week, so you saw the quotes, like, oh, this is lighter, oh, I'm an American. After the first week, they came in like, Mr. Martin, is it okay if I'm finding evidence that says the moon landing was real? A week after that, they start coming to me and saying, dude, do you really think the moon landing was fake? And a week after that, they're like, you're freaking lying to me! And then, the first group I ever did this with, it was a really tiny astronomy class, the first astronomy class at my school. They had the exact same photo, the exact same exclamation points, and they said, proving Martin wrong. That was the name of the presentation that came with that class. So they evaluate, they become experts in the moon, about the tides, about the phases, about all that stuff, and then they present on a specific issue. And if any teachers in here, I'd be happy to share the project and rubric everything that it is.
Sure. The moon is not the Earth isn't an adequate explanation for the flag. Wasn't it just spring-loaded or something?
No, it wasn't. So the moon is not the Earth is not adequate for the flag waving. You're trying me to give you answers to your homework, but I'm okay with that. So the shape of it, just it being in an L shape, there is a lot of people are like, oh, how is it hanging up with that wind? They just have an L bracket on it, so it's a metal thing.
Curtain rod.
It's a what?
Curtain rod.
Yeah, it was a curtain rod. Hanging across, just an L shape, and that's hanging up. And then the reason it keeps waving is because it's in a vacuum and there's actually, and it's, anytime you see the flag waving, you're going to see them doing this, like trying to twist the flag
The force.
into the moon. And then there's a vacuum of space functionally. There's functionally no atmosphere on the moon, so it just doesn't slow it down. I know I just ruined the entire Mythbusters episode for you. It's still worth watching. Because Tori and what's his...
Grant.
Yeah, Tori and Grant do it, and it's pretty awesome. So go watch it, seriously, it's worth your time.
All right, one more round of applause.